Aloha, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to NXT is talked about by PWT. Woo,
Wow,
hey,
I didn't realize we rebranded.
oh man, that could have been disastrous, Nate, and I
It
could have sounded
wasn't.
like a real ass clown. But thankfully, I sounded amazing because I made a save. I'm Kelly Wells. You can find me on Blue Sky at other Kelly Wells and other places at other names. You know what? Yeah, I'm fresh home from Dallas, where I go every 2 months. I am there too much of the year, 30 nights a year. I basically could get around the Allen, Texas Marriott in with my eyes closed. I could do a lights out match there, and I would have the upper hand against Lexus King. Um, so that is where I was. I am back, and I have been so busy that when the speed match happened, and they said now the winner will face Candice LeRae, I'm like, well, that match should have been on NXT. And then I realized it was, and I just never saw last week's show. So next week, Homecoming, we got a big fan service episode here. Ryan Slorio said, really good show. And I would agree, except for all the matches on this show were not great, except for the first one. I got gripes, but whatever. I had fun with all the stuff that basically wasn't matches. Nate, the main event was a total train wreck. Zaruka versus Fatal Influence versus The Calling. Um, would have been fun to have two people in at a time every now and then, but that wasn't the way they went. The Calling were the winners of this because they can easily be fed to Alexa and Charlotte, and that won't be a problem. Ryan says, I thought the triple threat elimination was good. It wasn't, but we'll see if Nate liked it. I just thought it was a mess. I hated it a lot. 14 minutes and 50 seconds, but I liked where it headed. And JC Jane has been sort of very slowly becoming somebody who looks kind of like a star. I don't know what I expect for JC in the end, but her facial expressions as Stephanie Vicaire and then Tiffany Stratton and then Rhea Ripley came out were hilarious. I just loved every time like her getting more and more. There was just a no on Tiffany Stratton, and then there was just a dead-eyed stare with an open mouth as Rhea Ripley joined the fray. In a very cruel twist of fate, as Rhea was starting to talk, I shifted and I hit my remote, and it switched over to Netflix, and I missed everything but the first word Rhea said. So I don't know what she said, but I saw everything else on the show. Baby faces clear the ring of heels, and Fatal Influence has something to do next week. We thought that this was going to be about Jasmine Nix turning face, but it might be about Jasmine Nix and Fallon Henley turning face. So lots of moving parts. 75 people at ringside for this one, Nate. I didn't count. I'm that might be an exaggeration, but I'm not sure. Lots of moving parts here, and we will see what happens next week. And next week, I'll be doing the flagship, so I won't watch this live, which is really a bummer because I'm super excited about Homecoming.
I know
So
it's going to be a
got
good
some
show.
issues. Got some issues with matches on this show, but I don't have any issues with the build to Homecoming. I thought it was like everything that a fan service show hype go home should be. I've talked too much. Nate, you do the same.
I mean, sometimes I do too, so it happens. I mean, I don't think this match was awful. I was kind of like, I don't know, it had its moments, but I think there were a lot of moving parts in this match. I like the idea of the triple threat and see who's going to face tag team champions. And like you said, the culling makes the most sense. They're heels. Fatal Influence is as well, but as you said, the culling can easily be fed to Alexa and Charlotte. No big deal. No harm, no foul. They'll come right back from it. Whereas a fatal influence being tied to the champion might be a little bit different. Um, but no, with Homecoming, there's so much I'm excited about right now. We'll talk a lot. We'll talk more about it because I could just sit here and go about Homecoming, but um, the having Stephanie Vickers come back out, especially as the first one in this segment anyway, having her come out as the first one I think made the most sense. She's only been gone what 6 months, give or take, right? So what is she? And she's never actually wrestled at Full Sail, as far as I'm aware, at least not under the NXT brand. So um, you know, it makes sense to have her come out first. Having Tiffany, that was cool. I don't know if she wrestled a Full Sail either. I don't think so. Now that I think about it, I think it was after because she was NXT 2.0 era, so that was
She was very early on NXT 2.0. I think she was one of
she
the
may have
faces of it at the very beginning. So
yeah
she
she
probably
might
wasn't.
have
Yeah.
maybe like a match or two or something like that at Full Sail before they moved to where they are now, the Performance Center. But the pop for Rhea, I was not expecting her on this show or for Homecoming at all. Um,
That was spoiled for me on the commercial in the middle of the show. There was a commercial that was hyped for Homecoming, and it had a bunch of the people that were already confirmed for it, and then like 3 people who aren't. And they said, and there'll be some surprises. And I'm like, oh, will they be all the people you just showed? And so when they showed
uh,
Rhea at the end, I was like,
who are the other two
I
people?
wish I had missed the Finn Balor. Actually, Samoa Joe was shown, and that was quick. And I don't know how the heck they'd pull that off, but he was shown. Um, everybody who was on the commercial is confirmed for the show now, except for Asuka, Finn Balor, and Samoa Joe. And that one, believe me, threw me for a loop.
Yeah,
But
that's
yes, when they
surprising.
showed Rhea, I was like, oh, well, I guess
I
Rhea's
mean,
going to be on the show.
uh,
But why not? I mean, she's one of the icons. The moment of her in the ring with Tom Staup and everybody else holding her up,
right?
that's a very iconic moment. So
I know.
yeah,
I love the fact that Tom made it in the ring for that. Um, but Samoa Joe sidebar. I mean, it AEW has worked with WWE in the past on small little things like Jericho on Stone Cold's podcast type of stuff. Um, I I don't know. Maybe I doubt it, but that would be cool. That would be
the
really cool.
last Forbidden Door. Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, seriously. I'd be for it. But yeah, like I said, this match, uh, I don't know. I mean, it didn't necessarily do it for me, but I don't have any necessary like gripes about it that I can really think of. Um, but definitely looking forward to this triple threat next. Sorry, this 6-woman tag next week. Um, I have a feeling this might be the end of Fatal Attraction, Fatal Influence, and I hope it is because that way I can stop doing that every single week. Um, and with Fallon and Jasmine, they may still be able to break away from JC and stay heels. Like I don't know, Jasmine, I could see turning face. Fallon, I don't know. I might consider keeping her heel. I don't know. It all depends on how they break them up, but either way, I think the end is near for Fatal Influence.
Steve Repture in the chat says they let Billy Gunn come back for the DX
Mhm.
Hall of Fame induction. They did, but the fact that every time we have a conversation like this, we have exactly one thing that we always keep pointing to means that there aren't a lot of times that this has happened because in my head, I went to the Billy Gunn moment too. But
Yeah,
that's it. And remember, Billy Gunn's moment involved Triple H. So like Triple H has always had exceptions made for him. Because of who he is and who he married and everything like that. So different, I guess. But yeah, that's
And yeah, all of the times that they've worked together have been on smaller things. Like they're not necessarily money making, matches. And a big moment like Samoa Joe showing up on NXT, especially after all of the counter programming WWE has done to AEW lately. I don't see it happening. It'd be sick if it did, but I just don't see it happening.
Steve continues. If Samoa Joe was there, TKO would
I
counter program it.
didn't even see that.
It just happened while you were talking. Yes, they they don't know what to. They're just bots counter programming their own programming because they don't understand what's happening. Yeah, since we're on it, I mean, we might as well talk about Tyler Breeze coming out to his original music, the one where they played his video like 3 weeks in a row on NXT back when it was only 1 hour long, which was very, very amusing to me. Came out with the fuzzy selfie stick. Like some of these pop culture references are a little outdated, and they just went full on with it. He doesn't look like he's aged today. He's in great shape. Super excited. Wouldn't turn down a return because they botched his main roster run so badly the first time. Like I know they got plenty of yuck
They had
out of him.
Yeah, they had some moments. They had some moments.
You and your comedy wrestling. I get it. Like what he did with Fandango was like fun TV, but he should have been
I agree.
Bigger deal as a single before that stuff ever happened. So yeah, I loved Tyler Breeze. I couldn't believe how well it was going, and then they put him up and paired him with Summer Rae, and the two had the absolute best chemistry together, and they were both so snotty, and Vince was like, whatever. Just jobbed him out. So I don't know. Does that that's a segue, right? That is damn near a segue.
In the chat, Blake says his wife wants Brazongo back for one night, so I'm not alone. So
yeah, it's
at least two of us.
They had a weird run where they went down to NXT and finally got a little bit more respect as guys who could work, and they ended up winning the tag team championships. They were champs for like 5 months. I think this was early on in your time on this show, Nate. And after they lost them, they were released like really soon after. Just happened.
Who was? I already forgot who you're talking about.
Brazongo. They were tag team champions in NXT, and then
I do
very shortly after. That was that time, and then there was Bronson Reed, who was NXT North American champion, lost it, and then was like gone 4 weeks after. I was predicting a call up, and they released him. It was bonkers.
Because Vince didn't like him. He didn't like the tryout match he had, and they just got rid of him. So stupid.
Yeah.
And look at him now.
Mm-hmm. Solorio says Tyler Breeze wrestled Jushin Thunder Liger. He actually said like it, but I know he knew Liger. It was fine. It was nice. It was really cool as a moment. Liger is somebody I have loved forever, and fans know that of our shows know that I'm massively into New Japan, even when it's not very good. And right now, there's good stuff about it, but needs some help. Liger was somebody who his WCW run, I was like, I can't make sense of the things he's doing in the ring. Liger was just crazy good. Liger wrestled regularly until about 3, maybe 4 years ago. So I don't know if people know that, but he was, and Japan is very, very much of the older wrestlers give back no matter who they are kind of mentality. Liger was losing 95% of his matches by the time he was at the end, but he was still having decent matches at the age of 54. That was one of the biggest, that was one of the times where I thought wrestling was most pointed at me. They were like, "Hey, you want this?" I was like, "I do, but does anyone else know who he is?" It was awesome. Okay, we were talking about Tyler Breeze, so we might as well talk about Tavian Heights versus Ethan Page. This went just 6:53. This was fine, but my biggest issue with this is that it didn't get the runtime I would have thought that a gimmick match would get. And also, when it ended, I don't know that I thought that the moves that had happened were big enough for Heights to win this match. But this was having their cake and eating it too kind of stuff, because they wanted Heights to get one up on Page, but they didn't want Page to be pinned. So that is why you book a flag match, I guess. I don't have a ton to say about this one other than the fact that very wise that they didn't have Chelsea Green there, because she's just going to get cheered. And that's not what they wanted. And this was night and day from the reaction in Lowell. So Tavian just getting multiple USA chants and eventually wins the match. But Ethan Page is just so good at being bad. Nothing wrong with this one, but if it hadn't had a stipulation attached, I might have already forgotten it happened, Nate.
I pretty much agree with you 100%. Like, Blake in the chat forgot how boring flag matches are, and I mean, I don't know. I feel like any match that doesn't end in like a pinfall or submission, it can have kind of an anticlimactic finish. Like, even maybe not a ladder match, I guess, kind of, it could be in the same vein as this, but like in this case, I don't know, you're beating your opponent so you can climb the turnbuckle and grab your flag. It's like, I don't know. It feels a little anticlimactic. I'm not a huge fan, but I mean, I think they did an okay job with what they had. I agree with you that I don't feel like Tavion did enough to Ethan Page to warrant the match to end. There should have been a couple more big moves in there. Like, it did seem like to me the match ended early, but is what it is. Tavion getting that reaction, tonight, it completely different than Lowell. I think Chelsea Green was the big difference maker for there. Everybody wanted to cheer Chelsea in Lowell at Heatwave. I know I did when so did Jobin. We were having a good time. Nobody wanted to get behind, Tavion and Tyra May Steele. And I can understand, Ethan and Chelsea, they've got so much charisma, especially together. It's hard to not want to cheer for them even when they're being heelish. So I think that, like you said, definitely smart. Tavion, such an incredible talent though. Like, I feel like once he's starting to figure things out on the mic. Like, he's not terrible. But I'm hoping once he figures, his kind of character's gimmick out a little bit more than just, I don't know. I'm kind of hoping it's not like another Kurt Angle type ripoff, Jason Jordan, Chad Gable, something like that, where they just kind of keep touting I'm an Olympic, athlete. It certainly worked for those guys that I mentioned, but I feel like there's diminishing returns the more people, are like, hey, I'm, Olympics. For Tyra May Steele, she won a gold medal. She's a second gold medalist in, WWE. I think, as I'm saying that, wasn't Gable Stevenson a gold medalist? Or no?
Stevenson,
not
no
Stevenson.
Gold, I don't remember.
It might have been a medal, but maybe not gold.
It's crazy how he and his brother have just disappeared from NXT history.
Yeah.
And they tried hard with his brother, and then Gable, they just didn't do much with at all.
He just didn't have it.
I wouldn't have. Yeah, I just wouldn't have thought of him again. I don't think. Like, there was a time, I'm a GM of a card show, that like Gable Stevenson's cards were worth money because people were like, "This guy's going to be the next big thing." So we gotta really hype this up. Yeah. His cards were worth money. Although there was some tempered enthusiasm because all that stuff that he did. So I don't know. When I think of flag matches, the only one I think of is Corporal Kirshner versus Nikolai Volkov. Um, and that one, just in the days where stuff was so nationalistic, and like they'd stomp on the evil flag of whoever the other guy was, no matter if we were really in it was him, right? It was him or Iron Sheik. No, I think it was Nikolai.
I don't remember.
But when I think of wrestling from back then, I think of Kirshner in a flag match. And I don't know if that was on a Mania, if that was on a weekly show, or where that was. But yeah, I think I think that is the thing that happened. So flag matches. What are you gonna do? Better than putting Judy Bagwell on a pole, I guess. Okay. Your opening match, Javon Evans versus Josh Briggs. 12:45, Josh Briggs wins with he distracts the ref with a chair and then uses the chain around his neck, which of course, because I hadn't seen him wear that before, rolls it up on his hand and takes out Javon Evans with it. So Javon still having to take his lumps as an underdog guy. That's what they're supposed to do, but also protected in defeat with some cheating by Josh Briggs. This match was very, very good. By far my favorite match on the show, and to be honest, the only match on the show that I liked. But Briggs over Evans, I liked it a lot. These guys are both good at big, small, and they are big and they are small. So that was good stuff. We didn't.
I don't know why that's so
we didn't
funny to
linger. We didn't linger on this one. I don't know where Briggs heads here, but it feels like he's still a priority as he's still winning matches. And Javon, now that he's got his championship loss out of the way, can take a couple more lumps before he wins a big one. So, yeah. And also, what a crowd tonight. That really helped this show in terms of hype. They went to the same venue they always go to, and this crowd was awesome. So Briggs over Evans in your opener.
That's one of the things I was going to say, is that the crowd was off the charts for this match in particular. I mean, they were all night, but like they really stood out to me in this match. Chanting for Josh Briggs to go away and things like that. Not just a good sign of a good crowd, but I feel like it's also a good sign of a good match. Once you can actually engage that crowd, sure, it's a first match of the night, so they're already, pumped and energetic, but then you keep them there. Javon with that first plancha over the top rope when Josh Briggs was coming out before the match even started, that was crazy. I mean, he just flew over that top rope. I thought this was, Ryan says it in the chat that best match of the night. I agree. I think this was easily, hands down, the best match of the night. They have some great chemistry together. And I don't know if it's an epiphany, but maybe just more of a passing thought. I don't know, during this match about Josh Briggs, but I think it had something to do with his attire tonight that made me think of it, because it kind of reminded me of what Baron Corbin wears. And I'm like, I feel like they're building Josh Briggs up to be Baron Corbin. It kind of, maybe not in gimmick, but like that good big guy that's always going to give you a good match. May not ever win the big one or anything like that, but somebody that's going to give you a solid match and kind of help elevate other guys. Baron Corbin was really
a gatekeeper.
Yeah, gatekeeper. Yeah.
And not as high up the card as Kane, but potentially higher up the card than Corbin. But they all served the same purpose, and they knew what they were there for. And you can get a lot of years doing that. And Corbin was there for longer than people realize. He was in that company for 8 years. So
yeah,
they got really what they were looking out looking for out of him. And if they had thought he was championship material, then great. And they must have briefly thought it because they had him win the Money in the Bank. So they had to at least have kicked it around. Briggs for me is somebody who has been unsung, but I really, really think he can do some special stuff. So
yeah. No, I agree. I've always been in his camp, right? Like obviously I didn't see the things that he necessarily did and evolve and outside of the company or whatever, but I've always liked him, and he hadn't, I guess, really stood out to me. He stood out to me more than Jensen did when they were a tag team. But he never really stood out to me until this singles run. And I guess when I say this singles run, let me rephrase that. This particular heel run post Inamura. I feel like his heel work with Inamura certainly worked. He kind of went from a face naturally to becoming a heel after kind of feuding with his tag team partner and whatnot. And I feel like he's now finally starting to really figure out how to get heat with the crowd, how to be that heel. I mean, he's after last week, and teasing the Undertaker's music, like he's got heat with that crowd. And I'm hoping he can kind of keep that ball and roll with it. Javon Evans, like you said, he's kind of over the stuff with the NXT title right now. He can take a couple losses and keep moving on. He's got plenty of charisma. He'll, pun intended, bounce right back.
Brock Benningfield says Wolf Dogs was also a fun time. It definitely was. That's my favorite thing that both guys ever did. I don't think Braun Breaker is that good, but I thought he was great during that. And I never thought Corbin was very good. And he was really, really good during that time. I thought that pairing had legs. Like the idea of Corbin recognizing a guy who was just like he used to be, but now being annoyed with it. Oh man, I just thought that it was so perfect for him to be old man Corbin, and I could have watched those two do that for much, much longer than they did. Very, very cool to bring that up because the older I get, the less I remember stuff that I saw recently. Okay, let's go to DIY. So DIY came out and they were playing baby faces like pretty openly, and I thought that was tiny bit suspect, although a lot of guys kind of toe the line at a lot of times these days. And then we got Trick, and even though it made sense for Mello, I wasn't ready for it because I wasn't really thinking about Homecoming, and I wasn't thinking about the fact that Homecoming is just a pure fan service show, that it doesn't matter who wins and loses. It's fan service. So if I have an issue with this scene, it's that it seems like an issue of Marvel's What If, that they want to tell the story, but they don't want it to be part of canon. So they're like, okay, let's just do it real quick, get it out of the way. Because Trick and Mello should not do anything but hate each other now. And I feel like this moment undercuts whatever they're going to do in the future when Trick finally makes the main roster, which is way overdue. So I don't know that I love that they did this, but I know I'm going to love the match next week, Nate. So I don't know if it matters. Yeah. Go ahead on this.
I can't wait for this match next week. DIY could potentially be one of, if not my favorite tag team like of all time. Big DIY fans, especially their stuff in NXT. We know what's going on the main roster. It's good, but it's not as good as their stuff down here in NXT back in the day. I think this, I don't know. Last week we called Mello. We figured it was going to be Mello. Going to be coming out alongside Trick to face DIY. We didn't know exactly how they were going to get there, but figured it was going to be Mello. We threw a few other names around first, and then I think either somebody in the chat or David mentioned Mello. and that seemed to make the most sense. I don't mind them doing this because Mello comes out, he kind of throws a little bit of shade at Trick, and eventually they decide, all right, fine, we'll team up, take on DIY, whatever. But where they had that bit of tension to start out, I feel like that could still play into, and it probably will play into the match next week at Homecoming, and then from there it can kind of continue to whatever happens in the story of that match between the two of them, whether it's during the match or after the match, or whatever. But I have a feeling we're going to see something happen between Mello and Trick next week where they'll continue their story, or will be able to continue their story, as rivals as they eventually Trick goes up to the main roster. I don't think it necessarily undercuts it. It could undercut it depending on how they do it. But I think in the direction they're going, I think it could be okay.
Who was it? Let me go up here.
I like what
Brock
Steve
Benningfield says. The week after Homecoming, cut to a scene of Ava waking up and saying, "It was only a dream."
Oh,
and
God.
then from there, have William Regal wake up and say, "Ava is the GM for 3 years. It was only a dream." Yeah, I want the double. I don't know what it's been, but it feels like if it's one, it feels like 3. If it's 3, it feels like 7. I just need it to end. Okay, let's talk about something that we haven't talked about yet. How about Hank and Tank versus Dark State?
January 23, 2024, she became the new GM. All right. It hasn't been 3 years. I feel so much better about that.
Okay. Yeah, I'm going by what it feels like.
No, that's totally valid. That's totally valid.
Yeah. Okay. What was I going to do? Hank and Tank versus Dark State. Let's do that. Why not? 10 minutes and 48 seconds. Dark State defends against Hank and Tank. Again, they really wanted to get everything in here. They wanted their moment with Joe Hendry. He busted through a thing under the perch. Ryan Slorio says he popped out like the Kool-Aid man. I was thinking the high school thing, like the high school pep rally. But yes, the Kool-Aid man.
I like that better, the Kool-Aid man. Because I was thinking the first thing too.
When Kool-Aid Man shows up, everybody succeeds because everybody gets to have Kool-Aid. But when Joe showed up, the good guys lost, like right afterwards. So, okay, I guess, they got to have it. He got his FaceTime, but Hank and Tank lost because that's what Hank and Tank do.
Oh, you didn't see Joe Okay, you didn't see Joe Hendry's moment from last week. That's probably why.
I didn't.
So, okay, it was Hank and Tank, Dark State, or Hank and Tank and Ricky Saints, Dark State, and against Dark State. There's 4 people in Dark State, so they can fill up a 6-man tag. And Obafemi. Obafemi was with Dark State, Ricky Saints. Hank and Tank and Ricky Saints. Ricky and Oba, they start fighting to the back, leaving Hank and Tank by themselves, kind of handicap 4-on-2. And Hank is starting to get beaten down by one of them. I forget who it is. He's got him in like a choke lock a little bit. Camera cuts in quick, and he just screams out, "Joe Hendry!" And then the music hits, and Joe's standing on the apron. So it flows into what happened last week.
Okay. It's interesting. Guy going from main eventer to haha, I showed up when you said my name. I don't know. Is he John Cena or is he Santino Marella? I don't know. He's he's a mix of the two.
That's his thing. You say his name and he appears.
I know. Brock says, I assume Wade hates Joe Hendry appearances. Probably kind of ish. Or at least he's like, okay, you got away with this once. Because I know that he thought that it was totally fine and funny that they did Ty Dillinger getting number 10 in the Royal Rumble. And then the next year, he also got 10 in the Royal Rumble. He's like, all right, you did it already. So whatever.
Well, I mean, but the
I'll
Joe
next
Hendry
week.
thing's like it's like an established gimmick of his though, to like say his name and he appears. I mean, obviously the 10 thing was an established gimmick too, but I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm
I'll ask him next
defending my
week.
man. I believe.
Next week, I'm not doing this because I am on the flagship. I have so much to do between now and then. I literally just got back from the Dallas card show, and then I start the Minnesota card show tomorrow. I live in Minnesota, so that one's not so bad, but it's a huge card show. And then I'm here for like 3 days, and then I go to California for 5 days for funeral. So, that'll happen. I don't know. I'm gonna forget what my own room looks like, Nate. The glamour is the devil. See you in hell. Let's talk about that. We're
Gee,
seeing
thanks.
quite a different side of Blake Monroe. She is she said that Jordan Grace is going to face her reckoning because I'm the devil and such. None of that was an exact quote. I didn't write down the exact quotes, but they were shooting it in a way that was a little foreboding even from the beginning. I was like, why all the red light and the candle in the foreground? And then it was about hell. So I was like, oh, I get it. So I guess we're about to see a very different side of Blake Monroe. Yeah. Let's see. Goodfella says Minnesota has a big card show. Condolences on who you cared about and lost. Cheers, bud. Yes. Let me spend just a second on this. Yes, we have a big card show. We have the biggest card show of the year is the National, which always happens in August, and it moves around the country. This year it was in Chicago, first of 3 years in a row. It's the best venue for it. It's awesome venue for it. I love it. The biggest otherwise is in Dallas, and it's called the Dallas Card Show. And the next biggest is called the Minnesota Card Show. But that's only been going on for like 2 years. So if you haven't heard of it, totally understood. But it's put on by people I know, and we are co-sponsors of it. And it's big, and it allows me to sleep at home. So not bad. Who I lost was my uncle, Egwan Tedros. He's Latvian, so that's what that name is. He was paralyzed in an accident in like 1991 and was expected to live like a year. And we lost him this year. So he is the one who got me into cards, baseball cards, wrestling cards, basketball cards, all that. So he was critical to my life. So I will move on now. But thank you for asking. Thank you for caring, good fella. That was my uncle Egwan Tedros. He was a fantastic dude.
And he has a badass name.
It's a really, really cool name. And you hear a badass name like that, and you think like grizzled, whatever. He was a buffoon. He would make you laugh, and that was his whole thing. Blake Monroe is the devil. Nate, go ahead.
Blake Monroe is the devil. I dug this, to be honest. Like the Blake Monroe character so far, I don't want to say it's just kind of, I guess one-dimensional might not be the right term, but it's the thing that's coming to mind. But there's the pretty girl, and we've seen that gimmick a million times. I don't think that there's anything wrong with it, and I think she's been doing a perfectly good job with it. But I don't know. I kind of like this, and not that I even necessarily thought she necessarily needed anything either, like anything different, anything to add to her gimmick. But this kind of addition of a dark side to her, it's almost kind of like what they're doing with Bayley right now on the main roster, with kind of the devil on the shoulder, angel on the shoulder type of a thing. I kind of like it. It's a little bit, more, I guess. Well, sorry, I guess it's less spontaneous than what they're doing with Bailey. This, looks like she'd been brooding and sitting in that tub forever. But I kind of like it. I'm interested to see where it goes, and I feel like if she is going to wind up being the one to get over in this or go over in this feud between her and Jordan Grace, I feel like she needs more than just the pretty girl gimmick to get over. Just like Finn Balor needed the demon, maybe she needs to embody the devil. Now, if she comes out dressed in face paint and got cool music and stuff, that would be sweet. But I doubt it. I just think we're gonna see maybe a little edgier and more violent side of Blake Monroe.
All right, we go to our one other match, Fabi Apache versus Laney Reed. Blink and you'll miss it. My sentence is longer than the match, 2 minutes and 38 seconds. Natty Neidhart involved, and Laney Reed will be facing Candice LeRae. Candice beat who?
Oh God.
Was it Indy Hartwell? Was Indy part of this? No.
No, it wasn't Indy. Oh my! If you didn't ask me, I could have told you who it was. It was Sol. It was Sol Ruka.
Oh, so Ruka was in this thing for the speed.
Oh wait, no, it wasn't. No, it wasn't.
Zaya Brookside.
Zaya Brookside. That's who it was.
I missed that.
Yes.
I loved her. Like she was only. I liked her more than she deserved. When she was on NXT UK, she is the daughter of Robbie Brookside, who is a really, really respected trainer. Never thought I'd see her on company TV again, but we did. So
yeah, it was a good match for what it was.
So yeah, anyway, and I know what it was. I'm sitting here like typing as fast as I can because I'm like, this match is about to be over. I can't just dilly dally on this one. So yeah, 2 minutes and 38 seconds. Laney Reed, more wins on NXT TV than Bobby Fish, Nate.
How much fish could Bobby Fish fry if Bobby Fish could fry fish? Yeah. Okay. So, I mean, I talked about it last week. I'm not a big fan of having speed on NXT. I liked it as an idea for a social media concept, or, like a C-level show, like Level Up or something like that. But I don't feel like this belongs in NXT. We have too many titles as it is. And I know somebody's going to make the AWROH comment, but still, we have too many titles as it is. And just the idea of speed in and of itself is just, I feel like it's just so, it flies in the face of like traditional like storytelling in pro wrestling. Like I get it now, with 3 minutes, you got to be faster and quicker. And I kind of get what they're trying to tell with the story, but why wouldn't you do that in any match? Why wouldn't you try to win? If you can win in 3 minutes in a speed match, why can't you win in 3 minutes any other time? Right. So I don't know. I don't like the concept, period. I don't like the concept in and of itself, and I don't think it should be on like a main show. They should.
I'm going to throw a hot take at you. This is why I had problems with when they were doing a lot of Beat the Clock episodes.
Yeah.
Beat the Clock could tell like an interesting story over the course of 2 hours, but it was ridiculous to say, okay, you beat Chavo Guerrero in 3 minutes, which is better than this guy who beat London. Was it Jamie London? In 4 minutes and 4 seconds. It was odd to me that speed was determining. I don't know. Try new things. I'm
all for trying new things, but I I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't think the concept really worked, and I feel like the fact nobody cared about it on Twitter. The fact that didn't continue, that should tell you something.
Paul
Um,
London. Thank you,
I
Ryan
was gonna
Florio.
say
I don't.
Paul London, but
Is
I
Jamie London an actor? I
I
think it
don't.
is.
The name Jamie London like stuck out to me, so I'm like maybe there's a wrestler Jamie London, but I thought I was gonna see if you meant Paul London. But anyway, um, shit, what was I gonna say? Crap.
There are existing Jamie Londons, but none of them are people that I would know of. So
Yeah,
I don't know. I tried.
but no.
Paul
So
London. I really liked Paul London. I should not have forgotten his
oh god,
name.
Paul London was
Um,
great.
yeah, I mean,
Um,
he wasn't like he was never going to be like a single star or anything, but Lundrick was a really, really good tag team.
um, but no, with speed, like I good fellow in the chat. Wait, sorry, three was it that one? Oh, concept should be 5 minutes. That's what I meant. Concept should be 5 minutes, and that's the thing with speed.
The
If you're going for a
championship
speed,
matches are.
I was just going to say the speed championship matches are 5 minutes. So your qualifying matches, I don't know. Now you get your, I don't know. It just seems weird to me. Like your qualifying matches, you're trying to get really quick, done really quick, and then you have a little bit more time to breathe. Uh, I don't know. Whatever. I don't really care
It's
about
got to be
speed.
nerve
So,
wracking for the performers
oh, it
because
has to
you
be.
go out there and you know you're supposed to have a 9-minute match. You're kind of thinking about that, but you go out there and know that you can't have more than a 3-minute match or else you screw up storytelling. That's got to be really nerve wracking. Ryan Florio says to me, he could also mean Jamie Noble, LOL. I would never forget Jamie Noble's name. Jamie Noble is, I swear to God, I'm not lying. He's one of my favorite wrestlers like ever. I love Jamie Noble. He is
He's not lying. I've heard him say
bonkers.
it
He's
before.
so silly. I love, love, love Jamie Noble. So um Paul London's cool, and he could take a bump better than anybody. He's got the best Royal Rumble bump of all time. When he got eliminated by Snitsky, that is my favorite Royal Rumble bump of all time, and the Royal Rumble's my favorite match of all time. But Jamie Noble
And
is my dude.
Paul London has my favorite backstage smile of all time. If you know, you know. Um, yeah. The one thing that I do like about Speed is the presentation. I like the fact that it starts out everything's green, the lights are green, and all of that, and then as time ticks down, it goes orange and then red. So I kind of do like the presentation of it. If you're gonna do something, go full into it, whether I like it or not. Don't half-ass it. So I like the presentation. Um, I don't know if they can make speed matches more compelling and there's more of a story there or something, sure, but just to have these in the middle of my NXT, nah, I'll pass.
Okay. Let's go to it's still a thing. NXT Anonymous.
Yeah, right?
Throughout history, there have been so many people backstage secretly filming WWE. And it's weird that a company known for being so controlling has never caught one of these people.
We still don't know who did GTV.
It was GDTV, and the joke was obviously it's Goldust, and then Goldust left the company.
It was GTV. It wasn't GDTV. It was GTV.
It was GDTV. Do not correct me. I'm old. It was GDTV, and they changed it to GTV because Goldust left the company.
Okay,
So
if they changed it, then
I'll
go with that because I was still a kid. Because you're older than me.
It was briefly that. And I was getting to when they changed it to GTV because they were like, now we don't know who it's going to be, but we can't just get rid of all of it. And so they were like, well, we'll be less constricted if it's G than if it was GD. Although it could have been goddamn TV. I don't know. I don't know what it was. They never caught GTV. He got away with it. He was the guy who raised the briefcase. He got away with everything. And now we've got NXT Anonymous, who's been doing this on and off for a very long time. And you would think Ava would be more concerned about this, especially since she's been in so many of the videos. But anyway, Ethan Page was dressing down Miles Bourne and stirring crap. And Miles Bourne turned out the lights and attacked Lexus King. And Nate, all will be well if this leads to another lights out match, because this is the worst ever match idea that has now resulted in one of my favorite matches on NXT. Because that was just so much fun a couple of weeks ago. So they're still going here, Miles Bourne and Lexus King, Nate.
Yeah, I Miles Bourne had the advantage. He's blind, so he didn't need the light to see, right? The blindfold match last week was meh. It was pretty much what I figured it was going to be. I mean, I like the continuation of this feud. I think that's a good use of Lexus King and kind of to continue to build Miles Bourne. You know, they kind of propelled him up the card right to the main event with Obafemi. We knew he wasn't probably going to stay up in the main event, so give him something, you know, kind of something to do. I think this works, especially with. I like the story with him and Lexus King. You know, is he really deaf? Is he blind? What is, you know, it works, and it plays into Lexus King's character really, really well. I'm hoping it. I don't know. Maybe it does lead into a lights out match. It's been a while since we've seen one of those in NXT, hasn't it?
Ryan Slorio has said the last lights out match NXT was
I was
fun.
gonna say
it was Stratton versus
I thought it was
Chu. I would
Stratton
not
and
have
Chu.
remembered that.
I thought that's
And that's
exactly the
crazy
match I thought it was.
because Stratton has her flaws, but because she had such a good gimmick, she's been moved up. And Wendy Chu is so good in the ring, but none of her gimmicks have ever caught enough fire, and she got demoted. And she's still regularly featured on Evolve, which I am still regularly watching, although as often I think 2 weeks behind. But yeah, Wendy's out there having really good matches. The name of her finishing move now is the Dirt Nap, which is fantastic. Just a great play on words with everything that her character is. But yeah, I don't remember that match and would not have remembered that match. So
From
I don't know
August
what to say about it.
2022, I just looked it up.
Yeah,
Yeah, the whole match.
I almost certainly saw it. You know,
Yeah, we definitely did. I remember it. If Goodfella says it's a match, might need to rewatch. Whole match is on YouTube. I just found it. Oh yeah, you weren't throwing to me. I just started talking, so I didn't have anything to continue talking about.
I was throwing to you, but I was just hoping that you remember what we were supposed to be talking about. Anyway,
Oh God,
NXT Anonymous.
never
Yeah,
assume,
that's what it was.
never assume I remember anything.
Page and Bourne. Anything further on Page and Bourne?
Oh yeah, no, I don't really have anything more to say on that now.
Lola Vice. She's got a family. Her dad, Frank.
Her dad.
Her sister, Lords, Natalie Lords, Natalie. I wrote all these things really recently, and I don't remember them. Her sister, really, really overacted. But if you're going to either overact or underact, overacting is better. So whatever. She got away with being the excited sister. Her dad was a lot, but I still thought it was rooted in some semblance of reality, and actually found him to be the most charming part of the entire thing.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, it's a good story about Lola. It is. I just wish she was likable. I don't know. And she is to some degree, but there's just something about her that doesn't ring true enough to me to be a babyface champion. I think she could easily be a heel champion right now. But I don't know if I'm ready for Lola Vice babyface champion. But Nate, they didn't do a 2-week thing on her to not make her babyface champion. to
Right.
happen. She's going to win this match. That is what all of this is for. They might as well just be sending Shawn Michaels out there and being like, listen, she's going to be champion. You can take it or you can leave it, but that's what I'm doing. They might as well just have been doing that. So I don't know. I'm torn on this one. They try this when somebody is not connecting on a personal level with the fans, and sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't, and sometimes it's a mixed bag where they did this with Roderick Strong, and everybody thought it was the greatest thing ever, and then like a month later we all remembered, oh right, once the cameras come on and he's a wrestler, he forgets that he has a personality, and what are you going to do with that? So I don't know. I hope for her sake this works, because she can certainly work. Um, but like, how do you strike that balance between somebody who's supposed to be terrifying and badass, but also whimsical and sexy and all the things that Lola's supposed to be? I don't know if she's. I don't know if I want to say simplify, because I like the fact that there's a character with multitudes, but I don't know. I'll be the last person to the party on Lola Vice. I will, but I hope that it happens, because I think she is genuinely a cool person who's really trying to make this work, Nate.
I uh, so I kind of disagree a little bit. I think she is connecting with people, and because I would have agreed with you a month ago. But after going to Heatwave and seeing the reaction that she got live, she got a damn good reaction from that crowd in Lowell. Now I've said it before on the show. I'll say it again. You know, there's a big Hispanic population in that area, so I mean, I can certainly see why she might get a big pop there. Like, um, uh, makes sense. But I think overall, I think she is connecting with a lot of people. I mean, she gets massive reactions wherever she goes. Especially like Triple Mania. Yeah, she got a huge reaction down there too. Um, I think if it wasn't for AAA, we may have wound up seeing a heel Lola Vice again. Obviously, she was heel, turned face. We might end up seeing a heel again out of her. But I think now with them kind of wanting to make her, I don't want to say the face of AAA, but make her a big part of the women's division down in AAA. Um, they probably made the decision keep her face and whatnot. I think she'd be a much better heel champion. And I think she'd be a better character as a heel when she was kind of being that snarky, and I mean this in the best way possible. I just can't think of another way to say it right now because I'm tired. But snarky and like bitchy character. It was great, and
That's the best way to say it. It was that, and it was great.
it worked. It was really really good, and she's kind of stepped back from that, and we've seen her be a little bit more nice and whatever, which is fine. I mean, hey, I am all about being nice in real life, but this is wrestling, people. We need some good heels. And I think she'd be better off, better suited heel. But regardless, I think they know what they have with her. They're using well, and it sounds terrible when I say it like that, but using her to reach the Hispanic audience and things like that. I think it
That's
works.
that's part of the game, and that is definitely
Exactly.
true. And I noticed that when she wrestled Jada Parker at Deadline, and that's where it's going to connect first. And part of that is because she's already connected with them. There's going to be a portion of the audience that has already. So that's going to be part of that. So I don't know. Um, she's just she's been confounding, because I feel like at every step of the way they've pushed her too hard for where she was at the time, and that doesn't do her any favors. Um, But because she's a real life badass, you don't want to slow play it and have her get beat up. I thought the same thing about Dion Lennox, who was out there manhandling guys, like throwing boulders across the ring and then losing. And I was like, that's not doing him any favors, being that strong. And whatever. Goodfella says, I'd be cool with giving Lola a strap and see what she does. Sure, but we're talking about wrestling here. Yeah, she's. I'm in a cup here. So yeah, I definitely think you need to see what Lola does with a championship. Because that is somebody you could easily rely on to do that later on. Goodfella says, I think Lola is ahead of Jada, and I love both of them. She is not ahead of her in one single way. I can't think of one way in which, like, real life strength. That is the only way. Jada's got her beat and everything else.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
And Ryan Solorio says, still crazy. She was the last woman standing from Toxic Attraction. It's semi crazy because, sorry, Mandy's terrible, and Gigi's good, but Gigi like had that moment where she got on, I think it was Instagram, and said, I miss PK, and she meant Priscilla Kelly, which was her old character, and she never like fully committed to everything. So I think JC is not as surprising. I would have been surprised at the time that JC was the last one standing, but in retrospect, I see the reasons why. So I yeah, and Goodfella says Mandy making a bag. She gone sadly. I think Fatal Attraction is more over now thanks to JCC. He says attraction too, just like
See,
you.
it's not just
Fatal
me.
Influence more over now thanks to JC. Well, it's more over now because they're winning matches. They did not win very many matches. They've all got more losses than they've got wins. Mandy's making something of a bag right now. But the further she is away from her career, the less that will be true. Yeah, that is one faction that will definitely not make it to the main roster together. But
I don't think they're going to make it another
I guess
3
it'll be
weeks.
interesting to see. Yeah. Yeah, Fallon, I think is. Well, they've pushed her, but I still think she's underappreciated by the company because I think she should be occasionally winning on the main roster rather than entirely losing on
Oh yeah, no, she
on
shouldn't be
NXT.
a sidekick down in NXT at all.
Rock Benningfield says Mandy came and she gave without taking. I'm so old, I know the song he's talking about. But I'm also old enough to think about Homer. Oh, Margie, you came and you gave me a turkey. There are going to be people who have no idea what I'm saying. I swear to God, this is real stuff, folks.
I knew
Brock,
one
thank
of the
you
two.
for making me think of all of that, the actual song and everything like that. Gene Albert says, would have been cool if Mandy came out, though. I totally agree. Because there is almost no bigger surprise than if they had bring back Mandy, who they publicly said because of the stuff she isn't coming back. That would be a wild thing to drop on us, and I wouldn't say it's impossible because it was only a few months ago that they showed Mandy in archival footage, and for a long time they wouldn't do that. She was just persona non grata. They did not want to show her. So Nate, I've been prattling, but yeah, this was. I didn't love a lot of the wrestling on this show, but I loved a lot of what this show got in motion. So I think this is going to be super fun. Yeah, talk to me about anything involving Homecoming and what you're expecting to see next week.
So I'm really looking forward to Homecoming. I mean, we got a lot of cool surprises tonight. Yeah, Tyler Breeze being one of them. Yeah, Rhea Ripley, Stephanie. A lot of surprises. So really looking forward to that next week. I think it's going to be heck of a show. Don't know who's going to be here to do the show with me. We'll figure it out over the course of the week, but I will be here. Yeah. I don't have much more to say. I'm tired.
Let's go real early and have Michael McGillicuddy show up and
Yeah.
win the NXT championship. In fact, let's have Ricky Steamboat's son, who was getting
Jesus.
a major push on the first 12 weeks of NXT, not counting game show. And then he took an injury that was not so great. Have him come back. See if anybody remembers, because I will, because I've seen all these shows. Okay. And then
everybody
Bobby
be
Fish.
chanting Curtis Axel for him, yeah.
Bobby Fish, have him show up and win a match, his first ever singles match in this company. There you go. That would be the fan service for me. That would ruin me, because I wouldn't be able to say, hey, more wins than Bobby Fish. I am Kelly Wells, and you can find me on social media at so many places, Nate, just too many to mention. Who are you?
Nate Lindberg. You can check the things I do out at natelindberg.com.
Horseshoe, ladies and gentlemen. We'll see you next week.
Horseshoe.